And I'm here with Kevin McNeese of New Release Today, right here on the Andrew Burnett Show. And I'm telling you, it's an absolute honor to have you here.
You, Andrew, appreciate it.
Well, to start off, tell us how New Release Today came about.
Yeah, so NRT, we just celebrated our 20th anniversary in July of last year. So I feel very old. And I really wanted to talk about what's new in Christian music. I was working for Family Christian Stores, a big national retailer, and just wanted to report on what was coming out. Back then, it was every single Tuesday. And so now street dates have moved to Friday. So we morphed from New Release Tuesday to New Release Today, just being a little bit more current and, really the way the music industry works, they release music whenever they want, mostly. So yeah, that's really the beginnings of what it was. It was just to find as many Christian music fans that we could find and put as much Christian music that we could find in front of them.
Did you ever dream that it would be as big as what it is now?
Oh, no. No, not at all. No. And I think that's one of the great things of just watching God not only build the team, bring people that, I would have an idea in my head for a couple of years and not be able to execute it. And then all of a sudden some person would drop out of nowhere and have a passion to really meet that need and would be just a great fit for our team. And so I look back over and over and over again, not only internally, but also the opportunities and the partnerships he's put us in front of. I give God the credit. If it was up to me, we would have been this big in year one. But, God's timing is a lot more better than mine. So I give him credit for sure.
So where did your love for contemporary Christian music really develop?
As a youth. 43 now, and youth group was everything for me. We certainly did not have the best public school experience, and so it was youth group. And I remember going over to like a bunch of friends' house in youth group. We were all getting together in the basement, and one of the girls had brought an Audio Adrenaline "Don't Censor Me" album. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It's a classic, and started playing it. And I'm like, what is this? And from there got into like Carmen and Third Day and, Michael W. Smith early on, and really just found solid messages that aligned with my faith and what I was kind of exploring in youth. But it was kind of cool and new. I mean, this was the early 90s when Christian music was really starting to take off. So it was a fun time to just get into Christian music.
So was it from the age of youth that you really became inspired that you wanted to be a part of the industry of Christian music?
Yeah, I never really pursued to be part of the industry per se. I think God put a calling on my life at age 13 on a missions trip to Mexico that I would be in music ministry, a very broad calling. Fast forward 30 years, that's a very broad calling that can look like a lot of different things, right? So early on, it looked like playing the saxophone for youth worship band, and then learning to lead worship, and then getting a job, and then kind of diving into Christian music and getting a job managing the music department at my local Christian retailer, which then turned into a job at the national office, which then gave me opportunities to really start getting into what you and I would call the industry. Going to Nashville, being the new kid in the room. Online was just starting out. I mean, this was pre-social media, pre-iTunes, pre-iPod, pre-iPhone, all these things. And the only way to buy a CD, a physical CD, before downloads or streaming, was to sorry, let me put my computer on notifications so that doesn't happen again. My bad. But the only way to get a CD or get music was to buy a physical CD, and now you can buy those online, and that's crazy nuts how we and it just changed everything. And I got to be a part of that transition, which was really cool. So yeah, I think it's something that I didn't just wake up and go, I want to do this. I think God progressively moved me into different areas, and now just very honored to have a lot of friends that work not only as artists but also at labels and independent artists and people like you and media channels. And I love this community. It's different than any other place I've ever worked. It's just there's a lot of love and respect for everybody that does it.
So, has there ever been an artist that you've met in the Christian music industry that you really had to sit there and just paint yourself and be like, am I really meeting this person?
Sure, I call that fanboying.
Uh,
Yeah, and you learn to control it, right? I mean, early on, you're like stumbling over your words, and you're like, I've just been staring at them for 5 minutes and not asking any questions, and those kind of moments, you know. But you learn to kind of shove that down. It's like, okay, I gotta be cool. I gotta be a journalist in this situation. But yeah, one of my favorite stories in this scope is just having dinner with Amy Grant and Vince Gill. Nothing that I put together. I was along for the ride, but just happened to grab the seat at the table, literally right across from Amy Grant, who's one of the biggest artists out there. Even more bigger, like 15 years ago when this happened, just at the pinnacle of her career. Um, but then in addition to that, having Vince Gill there next to her, and he was totally checked out. He was there to support his wife. I don't think he said a word. Um, but it's cool. I mean, I had a whole dinner with Amy Grant, and because she was right across the table, we actually connected and talked, and all off the record. It wasn't an interview. It was like, this is a really nice lady who's just a regular human being like all of us, and we're just sitting around laughing and eating dinner. So that was kind of a cool moment.
what about a memorable experience as far as NRT has been around that you'll never forget?
Well, there's a lot. I think so. I'm in We Love Awards season right now. It is our annual Christian Music Awards that we do. We're going to be hosting that in February in Memphis. Not to date our conversation, but yeah. So that's the mode I'm in. So my mind immediately goes to our first year. Oh, I thought I muted that. I'm sorry. That goes to our first year of really getting into what the We Love Christian Music Awards is. And so we actually were able to join the Rock and Worship Roadshow back when it was that. Now it's called the Roadshow. I don't even think it's around anymore, actually. It's kind of like a winter jam, arena tour, lots of bands, $10. But we were able to do a bunch of awards and give them away on the road in the arena with an audience of like 12,000 people. And it was kind of one of those pinchy moments as this happening. And I actually got to hand one of our first awards to John Cooper of Skillet on stage. Again, one of those moments was like, okay, be cool. Like, this is actually happening. So that was neat. And then also we sponsored Creation Festival one year and had some stage time, and just looking out, that was the peak of Creation Festival East, where you had 60,000 people, and it's just people for miles, and stupid me is on stage giving some announcement, and I'm like in shorts and flip-flops, not knowing what I'm doing. And it was one of those, God, thank you for putting me here, and I'm going to remember this for a long time.
So, how did the awards actually develop? What made you decide to do an award show?
Yeah, so the We Love Christian Music Awards, 10th year. Again, it's hard to believe that like when you start measuring things in decades, you're getting way too old. So I think our desire has always been to give the biggest picture possible of Christian music. We don't care where the music comes from, label or signed. We don't care what genre it is. We're just really looking for good music. And I think that majority of Christian music fans follow that. They love good Christian music, and they don't really care where it comes from. And right now you get kids making really good music in their basement, and you got, seasoned artists making career albums on a label system and everything in between. We found out we still see, even 10 years later, a big lack in our industry, again, to use that term, of recognizing everyone. And we just felt, here's an opportunity to not do Dev Awards 2.0, to not do Caleb Fan Awards 2.0, to kind of not go for the glitz and the glam and the red tape and only X amount of people are invited to play, and all these kind of things that we see. There's importance for what they're doing. Not like we're any better than them, but we're different. And so there's an opportunity to do something different. And I think that's what we really strive to do at NRT as much as possible, is to just try to give people a different look at what all this is while still being familiar with some of the major artists. So that's really what has driven the creation. And, for 10 years, that's continuing to do this.
So what's your dreams and goals for NRT as far as 2022 goes?
Great question. I'm kind of a make it up as you go guy. If you get to know me at any end, I mean, that has its pros and cons, right? The pros is that you can kind of shift and pivot wherever you need to in the moment. The con is that you have no idea where you're going. And so that can kind of hurt your trajectory. I think 2022 will be a big year for NRT and just our overall design of the site. We're finally working on a site redesign. It'll be live by the end of the year. If it is not, I don't know. I'm gonna need to find new coping mechanisms or something. but it's coming. So I think that'll be a big thing for us and our visitors. Content has been absolutely pivotal. We've really pivoted towards heavy content in probably the past 4 to 5 years. But our site wasn't really designed. It was designed, honestly, the site was modeled after MySpace, if that tells you how old it is. You can find your top 10 friends, and we ripped off a lot of ideas when MySpace was kind of a thing. And, it's like that house that you keep building rooms on, but you're using different construction companies for every project. So, you start digging in NRT, you find some bugs, things that don't work, and we just need to invest in a new car.
Well, Kevin, thanks so much for coming on the Andrew Burnett Show. I tell you, I have enjoyed this. We got to do this again soon.
We're done? Like, that was fast, man. I gotta say, I am